Hello there, everyone, and welcome. Today we're gonna tie a polychaete worm, and we're gonna do it on some spawn shanks. The way of tying flies with shanks is something that I really taken to heart and that I like a lot. So this is a polychaete worm meant for the intended for the Danish sea trouts, but I guarantee you this will work for any saltwater fish that occasionally feed on worms, or any freshwater fish as well. You could tie a deadly leech or something of that sort on these shanks as well. So basically, this is a pattern that I have from. Well, it has a lot of different sources. A good friend of mine who's called John Mortensen has actually been tying these polychaete worms on these shanks for a long time. And then the color combination is from another. The inspiration from that is from another Danish fisherman who's called Ove Monrad. And finally, Hannah Bosso is the one who combined all of these combinations into this, which is called the Brenda Worm. And basically, I'm just the facilitator, the one that is actually at the vice tying this. This has caught a lot of sea trouts, and it really is. First of all, it's a really awesome way of tying a polychaete worm. But second of all, this is a great design and a great pattern for some of these worms. So basically, let's get tying. I've added a bit of different setup here, so I have both the camera that is showing me, as you can see in the up there in the corner, but I also have one that is more specifically designed to show you exactly how we tie the fly. So here it is, and you can see all these joints give it just amazing action in the water. Also, this doesn't tangle very often. Compared to a lot of other long flies tied in with different techniques to imitate the worms, and it just has the correct movement. It's also not especially heavy, so it casts well on let's say a six weight or a 7 weight. The first thing we need is a hook. This is the Chemco 784, and it's a short hook with a really awesome spear point. I can't recall if it actually has the spear point. No, it doesn't have the spear point, but it has something that's very similar. It's very sharp. It's very it really cuts through and just have a really awesome hooking rate. Um, the Chemco 784. And of course we're gonna add some shanks to this. So, but I'm gonna show you when we get there. The first thing we need is a tail. So this is kind of like you could call it a bit of a woolly bucker, vipish fly. And we're gonna have the tail composed of marabou. You can use strong marabou, or you can use woolly bugger marabou. I'm just gonna pick out a feather here, and I'm gonna get my tail formed from one of these feathers. So I'm gonna cut off all of this. I don't need that. Then I'm gonna switch camera again, and of course, depending on the size and length of your worm, I know how that sounds. Depending on the size of your actual worm, you want to have the tail. You want to have the tail in looking well in proportions to your worm. No, the tail needs to fit the worm, or the worm needs to fit the tail. Not that I'm chasing tail or anything. Okay, enough of that. So, cutting away some of this and basically just tying this rest of the thing down here. And we don't need to take care because we're gonna have a lot of dubbing on top of this. But I have my tail now, and then I'm gonna add a few strands of a scent flash for this. The scent flash is really a nice overall flash for this type of patterns, for woolly buggers as well and stuff. No, just gonna have 3 strands, something along those lines. If you have 4, then that's probably okay, and if you have 5, that's okay, or 2 even. Just add a bit of flesh to that suits your liking, just to have a bit of bling here in the tail part. There we go. And then we need to make a dubbing loop. And I want to show you something pretty cool. I want to show you my new dubbing sword. It's not actually a sword, but it kind of resembles a sword. This is the new really awesome tool from Swiss CDC. This is the CDC multi-loop. And what this does is it makes it a lot easier for you to actually start your dubbing loop, and it has a bit of, I'm gonna make a video only about this tool because it's freaking awesome, and you have the ability to add some wires and some hackles and some hurls and stuff like that to your dubbing loop with these hooks up here. I'm sorry about that sound. That's basically just yeah, someone. Oh, please stop. I'm sorry about that. It's just someone who wants me to do actual work, and I don't want to do that right now, so I'm just gonna tie more flies and for you. So basically how this works, it has two entries here, and then you hold it in your left hand, and then maybe it's easier to see over here. Then you take you have the left one facing to the left, this one up here, and then you basically just put the thread in there, and then put the thread in the lowest one, because what that does is it gives you the opportunity to make your dubbing loop as long as you want, very fast and very easy. And because of this distance between these two openings, you have a dubbing loop that is completely open. It is completely open, so it's easy to attach the materials. Even if you have a material clip or something like that, you can easily do that. And whenever you want to close the loop, you just force this down, and this will hold your materials in place. So it makes the whole process of doing dubbing loops a lot easier. And here I just take the amount of dubbing that I need, place it in my dubbing loop, like so. Then I fold down the tool here, and then the hook up here will catch the dubbing loop, and then this is just, it's so well balanced that it's just so easy to use, and you just spin your dubbing loop. There we go. Just a bit more. We can always brush out a lot of this dubbing later on, so we'll get that fluffy body that we want for this fly. There we go. Just turning all the dubbing all the way up here. My dubbing loop is a bit too long. No, it's actually pretty okay. Up here. And if you just look at this now, then this probably will catch some fish as well. You know, it's basically a Brenda color schemed woolly bugger, and well, woolly buggers, they find fish, so this fly definitely will as well. Now I need to find a hackle, because we're gonna need some hackles for this fly. So I take my ginger cape here, because ginger is the color for this fly, and because I need 4 hackles, I'm gonna take 4 that is very close to the same length. I picked 4 from exactly the same place on the cape here, to have 4 that is of equal length, because that's easier than for me to pick out one every time I need one for this fly. It's gonna be faster, it's gonna be more efficient. And if you're tying more than one fly, then you can, in a certain size, a good trick is to actually to pick as many hackles as you think you're gonna need all at once, because that will save a lot of time if you're mass producing flies, for instance. I'm gonna cut away the stump there. Then I'm gonna turn my ginger hackle. This is a rooster hackle. So this is this one here is a whiting one that makes some awesome quality rooster hackles. Shout out to Whiting. There we go. And as you can see, I mean, If you just look at the way that this just in its own right looks, then I can guarantee you that this first part, which is not in the complete sense Brenda, it's a variation of the Brenda because it doesn't have 3 or 4 hackles, but I guarantee you that this one here, oh sorry, I was on the wrong camera, but I guarantee you that this one here is gonna catch a lot of fish as well. If you just said, I'm not gonna bother with the rest, just gonna go with this, then this will definitely catch fish as well. If you add some shrimp eyes to this one, you could almost call it a small shrimp. Yeah, but so many great patterns are just basically just woolly buckers in different colors. I don't know if woolly bugger is the original thing with the marabou and the dubbing and the hackle, but that is just such an uniform thing that it's hard not to it's hard not to win with something that in essence kind of comes close to woolly bugger. Now we need to add the shanks. So I take the first shank, and these are spawn shanks. Spawn shanks comes in a lot of is available in a lot of different varieties. Here you can see this is a spawn shank collection here, and there is 9, 10, 11, 12, and so on millimeters. For this fly, I'm going to use 10 millimeter and 15 millimeter. So you can either buy the specific sizes that you want in bags of 40, I think, or you can buy a collection like this, or you can buy a starter pack with, I think it's 4 different sizes and then 5 of each. And you can easily use that to get started. At some point you probably are gonna buy some different sizes and stuff like that. So yeah, you can get into that game any way that you like. But the spawn shanks are really awesome. So I'm gonna add my spawn shank. I just opened that with a plier because that's easier. And then I'm gonna take the shank and add that to the vise, like so, to give this. You can use your plier or you can use your tying thread. I'm just gonna use the plier a bit here, and then I'm gonna use my tying thread to really lock this down. There we go. And basically it's a number of the same operations that we have already done in order to make this fly finished now. So basically I take my dubbing sword in my left hand, I add it to the left side, then to the right side. Up here, around to close the dubbing loop, move the thread forward, take some dubbing, attach the dubbing here, close the dubbing loop, spin it. Once more. There we go. And then make sure that you get a lot of dubbing as close to the eye as possible on this, because you do not want this to look you do not want the segments to shine too much through here. Basically like this, tying down the dubbing loop. And I'm gonna cut off the dubbing loop. Tie it down, take the next hackle, and attach this here. As I said, Hannah, when she first tied this and tested this out, she hooked and landed 4 very nice sea trouts, the biggest of 65 centimeters. So some really nice sea trouts, and the hype about this pattern since we did the live stream has just been amazing. A lot of people has really taken this pattern, but also not only this pattern, but this way of tying worms and a lot of other flies on shanks to heart. And I must say, this has really boomed in Denmark, because we have traditionally been tying a lot on just on hooks, but some rebellious and forward, and the cutting edge has been tubes. but these shanks, they have a lot to offer. So the hooks are good for something, the shanks are good for the other things, and the tubes are good for yet other things. So it's all about, you know, adjusting your fly tying, and in your type of in your options to the actual pattern that you're tying, so you get the absolute most out of exactly the type of flies, that the type of thing you want to tie, that you get the best option for exactly that pattern, for exactly imitating or tying exactly that type of fly. So tube flies are good for some things, hooked flies are good for yet other things, and these shanks are really awesome for other things again. So it's just, you know, a matter of choosing the right weapon for the right type of fly. Basically, as I said, it's just rinse and repeat now. I'm gonna hold this in my left hand, put it down, down. I'm getting this. This pretty good down. I'm getting down with this tool here. It took a bit of practice to get the process right, you know. But I've done this video already in Danish just moments ago, so this is pretty neat now. I'm getting the hang of this, and I must say this is the one I'm gonna use in the future, because it's when the process is done. This is just very fast and very easy and very effective, and gives you a lot of options that you do not have with any other dubbing twister. So, of course, this is produced in Switzerland and stuff like that. So it's not a cheap tool. This dubbing sort, this Swiss CDC multi-loop, but it is freaking awesome. And it gives you some new ways of being able to tie that you do not have with an ordinary dubbing twister. I'm gonna take the hackle, attach this here. There we go. Turning the hackle here. And of course, there's going to be there's going to be some when we're done tying here. There's going to be some preparations for this fly. We're gonna pull out some of the dubbing with the dubbing needle and stuff, and just see if the overall profile of the fly is as we want. Oh, probably I should have added some varnish here, but the reason why I haven't done so is because it takes time for that varnish to harden before I can move on. But of course, on every single head here, on every single step of this fly, you need to add some varnish, or better yet, some sabagap. There we go. And for the last section, I'm going to pick a slightly longer shank, and I'm going to do that because in order to balance this fly correctly, I'm going to need a bead out in front of this. You can use a brass bead, or if you're fishing in freshwater and you want to really get down, you can use a tungsten bead. I'm going to use a small gold brass bead also, because that's part of the original Brenda pattern. So I had to open my shank a bit more for this brass bead to fit over here, but now it does. There we go. Attach the shank, the new shank, the longer one. This is 15 millimeters instead of 10. There we go. Close the shank here. Take the thread all the way up to the eye. There we go. Left hand. There. 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 Around the dubbing loop. Up the thread. Grab some dubbing. I've got this down now. Took a bit of time to get the timing right, but things are just it's simply, it's faster and it's easier. Pull that down. I should do the dubbing. I should make the dubbing loops bigger, I think. Just because it's going to be easier to spin the dubbing loop without it getting, you know, entangled with the bobbin or my fingers and out of tune, out of perfect spin. There we go. Almost there. I should have had maybe a bit more dubbing, but I can pull some out here, to brush some out to get it get the right properties. And then the final hackle. And don't use too many turns with your tying thread all the way up here, because if you do that, then you will have you will end up with kind of like a head behind the gold head of tying thread, and that is, well, I don't think it's going to affect how the fly will fish, but it just doesn't look good to the eye. So, turning my hackle. And since this hackle is so large, I don't need my hackle plier. You can, of course, if you want, you feel free to do that. There we go. I'm going to cut away the hackle here. Oh, that was not a clean cut. Good, I have a nice pair of scissors. That was better. Then I'm gonna make a whip finish. There we go. And because my knot here is covered by the gold head, by the bead, then I don't need varnish for that last part. And well, basically, there you have it. Of course, now is a good time to actually look at the fly and see if you need to brush this. You can take one dubbing brush and hold like this and then brush with the other one. But I actually think that I managed pretty good without having to brush this too much out. And as you can see, the movement of this is really, really awesome. The bead here helps with adjusting the weight of the fly to give it that right movement in the water. And this will just move insanely nicely in the water. So there you go, the Brenda brush. As always, you can find the complete material kit for this fly, or almost all the flies, here on my YouTube channel in my web shop. It's called Nordic Anglers, and we have more than 14,000 fly tying articles, or more than it's not fly tying all of it, more than 14,000 products in stock. We have one of the largest selection of fly tying I've ever come across. And we have just also all the big brands of fly tying equipment in general. But fly tying is our specialty. But we have Sage and Scott and Nautilus and all that stuff. But there is a specific material kit for exactly how to tie this fly. This video will be attached to that in the web shop. So you can watch the video and you can with one click buy the full complete material kit for the Brenda Worm in the web shop. It's called nordicanglers.com. Swing by if you haven't done so already. That would mean a lot. And also, please subscribe. That would also mean a lot to me. If you subscribe, what happens is every now and then you'll get an email whenever I release a new video. And if you haven't checked out the live streams, then I'm doing those at the moment every Thursday at around 20 in the evening local Danish time. So please swing by and watch some of those as well. Otherwise, good luck out on the water. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have fun and yeah, go catch some fish.